I sat and watched an African ruckman ruck against a Fijian in a bounce down on Subi Oval. Talk about a big journey in the game. Talk about the connection of multicultural. Talk about the spread of the game to the world, which AFL's doing. All wonderful stuff. And to see that, Jewel, you wonder where it's going to be in another 20 years. And I have no doubt there'll be American basketballers jumping at the centre, and there'll be other great players from around the world.
Grant Dorrington reflecting on where our game is heading in terms of luring talent onto a football oval. And while Aussie rules is attracting more and more athletes from other sports, imagine how many gun footballers our code has missed out on when talented youngsters decide to take a different path. I recently caught up with two of Perth's elite athletes who, growing up, showed plenty of promise on the footy field, but when the time arrived to specialise in one sport, they both gave Aussie rules the boot.
My dad was a football player, so me growing up, I'd always go to training with him. Saturdays were spent at the footy grounds, and I always thought I'd be a footballer.
Matthew Knight will go upstairs for the jam.
Standing at a massive 204 centimetres, Wildcats enforcer Matt Knight is 3 centimetres taller than Eagles ruckman Nick Natanui, and he isn't afraid to throw around his 115 kilogram frame. Known around the NBL for never taking a backward step, he was voted the league's most intimidating player in the 2011 Players' Choice poll. Knight looks back on his time as a junior, juggling a promising future in both football and basketball.
I was always the tallest in my age group, so I always had basketball as an option, and I got to about 15, 16 and I started realising there's a chance to go to America, to go to college and play basketball. So I was about 17 when I made the decision that I'd choose basketball over football.
Was that a tough one?
I was. I love my footy, and obviously I was playing for my high school and that. All my mates were playing footy, so for me to go away from them and choose basketball, it was a tough decision.
His father, Scott Knight, played 5 VFL games for Collingwood in 1984 after carving out a celebrated career in North Launceston.
I think he was actually quite happy that I decided to go away from football. Growing up, people always had me in his spotlight, and he wanted me to go away from that and create my own identity. And yeah, so I think he was happy and supported me on the decision.
And how's he been throughout your basketball career?
He's been amazing. He's an actual basketball coach now. He coaches juniors, so I've transformed him to a basketball coach. So I think I won that, but no, he was fantastic. He told me what needed to be done to be a true professional.
The kid from Tasmania says he's never regretted the choice he made as a teenager.
Highlights have been able to travel the world. Obviously winning a gold medal, the World Under-20 Championships in Greece. I've seen half the world, different countries. Played college basketball in America, which was amazing, probably the best 4 years of my life. Spent a year in Hungary where I got to experience minus 30-degree weather. So apart from that, weather was a good experience, but yeah, I can't complain about the basketball.
He goes off the dribble and finds Matty Knight with a spot-up jumper, and that's good for 2.
The AFL, you're really restricted to Australia, but with basketball, there's so many chances to travel, junior teams and that, just to see the world.
Luke Hughes is another athlete who, at one point, could have gone either way. At 28, he's the best baseballer in Australia, but when he was 16, he played in a Colts premiership with the East Perth Football Club.
First off, I decided to play footy, and I just finished up playing down at East Perth in the Colts Grand Final, and we won that. That was a pretty funny story there. Like, played the last game of the season and ended up getting selected in the finals and ended up taking some guy's spot, and we won a Colts GF, so it was pretty funny. And then the next day I played in the Swan Districts down at Basso, and we lost the Grand Final, so it was all footy, and it was quite funny. I've had to make a decision then and there, like, okay, am I going to go play baseball, or am I going to try to play footy? And I decided to play footy, and that was short-lived when, I basically sat down with my parents, and, a program started up on the Gold Coast from Major League Baseball, started up there, and had an opportunity to go away for 2 months as a 16-year-old kid, and that sounded pretty good, and basically flipped my decision and decided to try to play baseball, and had to pursue that from then on.
Hughes shot to stardom in 2010 when, after a long stint playing minor league ball, he finally received the call-up to the majors.
Luke Hughes hits a home run!
Mate, it was a long day coming. I spent 8 years in the minor leagues, and had a fair share of little small ballparks in little small country towns and throughout America, and you know, it was lots of up and downs, and to get to that moment, and you know, finally to get the call by my manager telling me that I was going to the major leagues. You know, obviously all those dreams have come true, and all the hard work that, you know, I kind of put in, the sacrifices my family did to get me there, you know, all quite started flowing up, and the emotions really got to me a bit.
What a moment for Luke Hughes. What a moment for Australia.
Manager called me in the office and said, "How about you play third base today?" I said, "Great, it's an ESPN game back in Australia." So it worked out perfectly. All my family and friends, they were all watching it, and basically came up my first at bat, and there was 2 out at the time, and a guy called Delman Young decided to steal third base, which is a big no-no in baseball, and he got thrown out. So I kind of had the pump fake and actually do it all over again the next inning. So I had a bit of time to let the crowd kind of, you know, chill me down a little bit, and sure enough came up next at bat and got to 2 strikes, and all I said to myself, I didn't want to strike out. Couldn't strike out my first at bat, and threw it, I hit it, and I knew I hit it okay, but I was like, it felt pretty good. As I was jogging around the bases, I was watching the right fielder go back to the fence, and I didn't know if he caught it or not. I saw him just turn his back and then look up in the crowd, and when I realised what was going on, I had to put my head down because I was laughing so hard.
Unbelievable right there.
Hughes became just the 106th player in Major League history to hit a home run with his first at bat. He was the first twin to do it in 26 years. It's a feat that's twice as rare as a pitcher throwing a no-hitter.
And as I picked up round third base, I looked in the dugout, and the whole team was going berserk in the dugout. So crossed home plate, everybody was high-fiving, mate, and it was a great feeling, something that I knew my parents back in Australia would be jumping up, going mental, and sure enough, after the game, you got to talk to Mum and Dad, and you know, they explained to me what happened there, and it was great.
Rewind more than a decade, and Hughes says his reasons for choosing to pursue a career in baseball rather than footy was simple.
Obviously, it was the travel. Yeah, I thought about that, and you know, obviously going to America and that big dream of going over there and making it big in the States, and you know, earning all the cash and all that stuff like that, which at 16 sounded pretty good, but you know, it was tough initially because I did something I loved so much for so long. That's all I knew, and all my friends were playing footy, and you know, it was a pretty tough time at that stage to make the decision. You know, but you know, I second guessed it for a long time. Something that took me a long time to get over, and actually accept the fact that I was playing baseball and had chosen that, and I was committed to try to make it.
How old were you when you got offered your first Major League Baseball contract? What was that like?
I was 18, just before my 18th birthday, and I didn't think it was going to actually happen. You know, I was been to the academy for a couple of years, and nothing had actually popped up, and I thought I might actually have to go back and try to play footy. And then finally, you know, after playing with our men's league here in Australia, and still didn't get picked up, and you know, it was the last opportunity over in the academy for my 3rd year, and the Minnesota Twins came knocking on my door and offered me a contract to go over the States and to continue my baseball over there.
And after a 10-year career as a professional baseballer in the States, Hughes was let go by the Twins and returned home to Perth. And while he's set to play for the Perth Heat when baseball season rolls around in November, he says he felt like a new challenge and decided once again to pull on the footy boots and test the waters at the Subiaco Football Club.
My mate down there, Travis Caitlin, decided to give me a call down at Subi, and you know, obviously asked me to come down and train. And it's been pretty tough, I do have to say, pretty taxing on the body, and that's something that I've you know, just come to terms with. It's going to be pretty hard to try to get out there, but I'm having a blast at the moment down at the club, and you know, the boys welcome me in great.
What's the major differences physically between being a professional baseballer?
Baseball, we don't run that much, mate. It's kind of you know, a lot of stop-start type stuff, short, quick bursts of sprinting, and that's basically it. And then you get to go sit down in the dugout for 10 minutes, you know. So you don't really tax it on the body, so much more mentally with baseball. But obviously with footy, the way the game's played these days is a lot quicker with the press and all that, and it's something that it's been pretty tough to try to get the body in shape and let the body actually understand what's going on with the kicking, and obviously it's a lot different, use a lot different muscles, and right now what I'm going through is pretty tough and the body's hating me a little bit.
Originally, the aim was to be up and running and playing games by the end of this season, but having spent more than a decade away from the footy field, he's conceded his body needs a little longer to readjust to a completely different training regime. Hughes has his eyes firmly set on pulling on a Lions jumper in round 1, season 2014.
I would love to be able to play on the ball like what I used to. You know, it's something I used to enjoy running around, and you know, but saying that, the way the game's played these days, maybe down in the forward pocket might be a little bit more better for me. Obviously it's something that the more training sessions I get through, the fitter I get. So hopefully I'll be able to start running out, the training session a little bit better, and hopefully start moving up the field and maybe play on ball sometime.
And while he's determined to make this new chapter a successful one, if it doesn't go to plan, Hughes says he's still come out on top.
My sister actually sent me through a photo of a yearbook back when I was a lot younger, and on it said, I want to be a professional athlete, and that was when I was about 13. And to actually see it kind of evolve and make it, and all the dreams that I had as a kid have come true. Obviously I didn't spend as much time in the major leagues as what I wanted, but obviously I got to live that life and the dream that a lot of people try and fail at. So very lucky to be able to say that I've kind of got there and did it.